small run-down cabin stood at the base of Pickle's Gap. The yard featured a few feeble attempts at flower beds, while a teenage girl named Annie was busy hanging an old brown dress, a pair of overalls, and a few old shirts on a clothesline that was strung between two oak trees. Sitting on a split-bottom chair on the front porch was her brother, whittling on a stick and chewing on a stem of an old corncob pipe as he casually admired seeing his sister work so hard.
Well, ain't you gonna help me, Rex?
No, it ain't a man's job to be a-foolin' with the washing.
It ain't no man's job to do nothing. It's us women folks that has to do all the washing and the running after the cows and the churning and the cooking and the minding the baby. It appears to me that the only job a man has is eating 3 meals a day.
That's plumb foolishness, Annie. Bud has a carpenter's job up at the new hotel, and he's making a heap of money, might nigh $1 a day, too.
You call that work? He gets to lay off every rainy day and play checkers around the store. While rain or shine, me and sister and mom, we chop the wood and do the churning and the cooking and the hoeing and all the rest of the work, too.
But Paul does the plowing for you.
You mean that he walks behind the mule who's doing the plowing. And when the mule is done plowing and winter comes, all Paul does is sit around and wait for spring. And what has Paul been doing all spring? Sitting around waiting for summer. And what's Paul doing all summer? Oh, it's terrible hard work. He drives them sleepy old mules down to the station and sits around waiting for the train. And then he drives all the summer folks up to the hotel and sits around the store until it's supper time. Yeah, that's terrible hard work that Paul is doing.
Paul works a-plenty. Besides, what's women folks meant for if it ain't to work for their men folks? Annie put a basket of clothes down and walked towards Rex.
Well, they was meant to be beautiful and charming and looked up to by their men folks.
Beautiful? Now ain't that a joke? Rex replied as he began to laugh.
Well, what chance does Ma ever have to spruce herself up? All the time she's a-working for Paul. And us children, with no time for herself and no money to buy clothes or anything.
Women? Beautiful? Cal, you need to take a peep at yourself in the looking glass.
Well, how can I help it? I ain't never had a new dress in all my life. It's always an old dress that Ma made for sis, and when it's wore out, it's passed down to me. And it's always calico, 'cause calico's cheap, and it's brown, because brown don't show dirt, and it's always got patches to hide the holes. And truth be told, there ain't nary a color that I hate more than brown. I tell you right now, there ain't a single thing in this world that I crave more than a new pink dress.
Annie put her hand over her heart and continued.
Why, I think pink is the most beautifulest of colors. Sometimes it hurts me here not to see pink.
Law, Annie, you ain't talking sense at all.
Well, I crave for me a dress like the one that beautiful summer lady had on, just like the one she had on yesterday evening when I toted the eggs up to the Oliver Springs Hotel. I've never wanted a dress more than that one that lady was wearing. It was beautiful, I tell you.
Just then, the mother opened the screen door and walked out on the porch, carrying a baby on her hip. Annie, ain't you finished with them clothes yet?
No, Ma, I haven't quite finished.
Rex, hold the baby for a few minutes and give your ma's aching bones a rest for a spell. The mountain boy reluctantly got up and mumbled, "It ain't no man's job to be holding no baby." But he made sure he didn't say it loud enough for his ma to hear it, else she would have blistered his hide. "Annie, this Sunday is decoration day down at the church, and everyone's gonna be there fixing up their graves. I want you to put on your best dress."
Ma, that's just it. I ain't got nothing but that old brown calico dress with a big old patch in it.
Well, I reckon we'll have to get something fixed up for you. It wouldn't do for you to go there all shabby like when you got 2 brand new graves to decorate. Why, the grass ain't even growed over your Aunt Liza's grave yet.
Ma, do you reckon I can have a new dress? Maybe even a pink one.
Gal, what's gotten into you, Annie? Don't you know that your pa don't make enough to halfway feed the 6 of you'uns, let alone buy some new clothes? And he's done spent pert near all of his June savings on drinks already.
Yes, Ma.
Anyway, I want you to wear that dark blue dress that I bought brand new for you when Rex was born. Your sister wore it once last year, afore she was spliced, and she looked right swell in it. But you sure have to have something, 'cause you're getting growed up, and it's time you spruced yourself up and started a sparkling for those men folks.
Ma, I don't want to see no men.
Well, don't be no fool, Annie. You're pert near 16 years old. Plenty old enough to be a-looking out for a man. Your sister was married last year, afore she turned 18, and I'd like to see you getting settled down pretty soon, too. I weren't but about 15 when me and your pa got hitched up.
Well, Ma, what have you been doing ever since? A slavin', a washing dishes, hoeing corn, and you ain't had hardly a year free when there weren't a new baby born, and you've never had no money to buy 'em any clothes, and you've had to sew and make 'em little flannel gowns out of your wore-out clothes. And take a look at Sis. She was married this time last year, and here in a month, a baby will be coming, and she'll be a slavin' for the rest of her life, a-trying to bring up those young'uns without no money to do it on. No, Ma, I've seen enough of women getting married in these parts, and I ain't wantin' no man.
Annie, life is life, and it ain't easy for nobody. But a woman don't mind slaving, like you call it, if she's working for a man, and a woman don't know happiness until she holds her own young'uns in her own arms.
Well, I wouldn't mind working for a man if he did a little work for me, too. What working has Pa ever done for you while you've been working your whole life away for him?
Annie's ma walked closer. Gal, if I ever hear you say as much as one word against your pa, I'll slap your crooked face. 15 years old though you may be, your pa's been a powerful good man to me. He ain't never left me for another woman, and he ain't never beat me, except for that one time when he was drunk. And he's always taken you to Sunday school and to preaching, and he's let you off from working in the fields just so you could go down to that school and learn some reading and writing. So what if he drinks a little bit? I'll tell you right now, gal, the good Lord don't make a perfect man. And don't let me hear no more of your sassy talking about your pa. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Get someone you love the gift of old-fashioned storytelling. 2 volumes packed with stories that'll make your heart smile. Visit theappalachianchannel.com to pick up your copy today.
Well, like I was saying, I reckon I'll fix up that old blue dress for you, and you can wear your sister's blue hat. She left it here when she got married.
Yes, ma'am.
Just then, the mother spotted someone walking up in the distance. Well, yonder comes Miss Allen from the hotel. Go fetch another chair, Annie. She might want to sit a spell. And Annie was excited. This was the beautiful summer lady that she had seen in the pink dress the previous day. She quickly set out an extra chair on the porch. Miss Allen was the visitor's name, and she was from a city far away and was staying at the hotel to enjoy the mineral springs water that flowed down from Windrock Mountain. Today, she was dressed in new sport clothes that were all the latest fashion in the city. Annie admired Miss Allen as she took a seat amongst the mountain folks. Ma was the first to speak. Well, law, Miss Allen, I like to not knowed you as I seen you coming eloping down the road. If I'd knowed you was a-comin', I would have combed my hair. How you getting along? Are you feeling stout as common? Why, yes, I am feeling quite well, thank you. This lovely mountain air agrees splendidly with both me and my husband. He played 18 holes of golf yesterday. Well, anyways, I just dropped by to say hello. I can't stay long. Well, can I at least offer you a dip? The mountain woman asked as she offered a pinch of snuff from a tin can that she pulled from her apron. Well, that's really kind of you, ma'am. But no thank you. Well, that's quite all right, Miss Allen. Annie don't do no dipping neither. She's got a notion that it ain't good for your teeth. That gal, she sure does get a lot of notions for a young'un. Annie certainly is a nice girl. Aren't you proud of her? Well, she ain't never given us no calls to be worrying. And her teacher says the gal is right smart with her learning. I tell you, she'd rather read than do anything else. I reckon she took after her pa. He can sign his name just as clear as writing in a book. Annie is right handy around the house, too. I ain't got no complaints to make against her. She was certainly kind to me yesterday. She went way up in the forest to get me a bunch of honeysuckle, and then she left it in my room and ran away before I had the opportunity to thank her.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Allen. I had to go fetch the cows.
Well, then I'll thank you right here, Annie. And here is a little something to pay you for your trouble. Just then, Miss Allen held a $1 bill towards the mountain girl. However, Ma spoke up suddenly. Annie, don't you touch that there money. Now, we thank you, Miss Allen, but I ain't allowing a child of mine to take pay for God's own flowers that grow free in the forest. We ain't rich, but we ain't so poor that we gotta take money for being friendly. Well, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you or Annie, but it took such a long time and a lot of trouble for her to get the flowers that I just wanted to show her how much I appreciated her kindness to me. Also, if you don't mind, I brought her a little dress too. Would you let her accept that? Well, thank you much, Miss Allen, but I reckon not. The mountain girl's heart was about to burst at the thought of a new dress as she stood with anticipation. This is just a friendly act. After all, I took the flowers from Annie. Why wouldn't you let her accept a little dress from me? Well, it's like I said, blossoms grow free in the woods, and anybody can have them for the picking. But clothes cost money, and a lot of it. Oh, but this little dress cost almost nothing. It's not even new, but one that my little sister wore, and she's outgrown it. I believe it will just about fit Annie, and I brought it along just in case you would let her have it. It's just a friendly act, that's all. Please, won't you let her have it? The mountain woman paused for a moment and then spoke. Well, I reckon there ain't no harm in Annie a-taking it, since you put it that way. Now, Annie, you'll have to say your manners right smart to Miss Allen for her being so good to you. And you'll have to tote her another bunch of them blossoms that she's so fond about the next time you go up to the hotel.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Allen.
Just then, the city woman handed the mountain woman a small paper package containing the dress, but the mountain woman held it in her lap as Annie looked expectantly at it. Thank you so much for your hospitality, but I must be going now. I promised some friends that we would meet down at the main spring. It's such a beautiful spot. Do you mind pointing me in the right direction to the spring? Not that tall. You walk down there past old man Collis's barn, and then you turn. What? You know what? I tell you, Miss Allen, I'll just go to the crossroads with you. It ain't far, and it's a lot easier than trying to explain. Annie, you mind the baby, and make sure the Rex don't get away from here. With that, the pair disappeared into the distance.
Rex, did you hear what Miss Allen gave me?
Some old dress, I reckon.
Well, it's a dress, but I don't think it's an old one. That is, it might not be very old. She did say, however, that her little sister wore it once. Rex, do you reckon it's going to be pink?
Well, it don't make no difference to me.
Well, it makes all the difference in the world to me. I want one that's pink and flimsy. Oh, I hope it's pink. And I wish Ma would let me have that $1. I could have paid to have my fingernails all shine pink and white and had my hair washed and curled, and I could have powdered my neck and my arms and fixed my cheeks and lips just the right color.
Gosh, that sure sounds like a heap of trouble for nothing.
It wouldn't be no trouble, but it'd be a heap of fun.
Just then, the girl paused in reflection, and she continued.
Rex, do you reckon that Ma ever wants pretty things for herself?
Ma? No. She ain't got no notions like you, and you better get them notions out of your head, too, or nobody will be wanting to marry a gal with such fine notions. I heard Paul say it, too.
I don't care. I ain't want to get married. I just want to live sort of free and read and learn a lot about how folks live who ain't been born up here in these mountains. And I want to have nice clothes like other folks, all sort of colors, blue like the sky and pink like the clouds at sunset.
Well, where would you wear them fine clothes if you had them?
To preaching, I reckon. That's the only place I ever get to go.
Just then, Annie slipped away, lost in thought, as she allowed her mind to dream and pretend that she was rich and lived far away in the city.
Excuse me, maid. Hand me them there shoes. No, not those old things. The black satin ones, with the real high heels and the gold buckles. Why, I'm going to a party. Which dress do you reckon I ought to wear? That white lace one? No, not the white one. It looks sort of pale at night. What about the red satin? No, it's just a bit much for this here party that I'm going to. How about the pink one? Oh, that's the very one. Oh, Rex, you reckon the dress the summer lady brought me is pink? Maid, tell the chauffeur that I'll be ready at 8 o'clock and then come back and fix up my hair with this here comb.
Just then, the mother came back walking up the path after showing Miss Allen to the local watering hole. Annie, in her excitement for the dress, had left the clothes in the basket on the ground, and upon seeing this, her mother spoke up. "Annie, what in the world are you a-doing with all the washing spread around on the ground? Pick up them clothes, gal." And Annie began picking up the clothes just as fast as she could.
Yes, Ma. Ma, do you have the dress that the summer lady gave me?
"Well, yeah, I got it, and I hope your pa ain't gonna mind you keeping it."
Could you tell me, is it pink?
"Law, Annie, I ain't had time to open it. I've been a-walking with Miss Allen, telling her about decoration coming up at the graveyard this Sunday."
Ma, please, Ma, can we open the box? Let me see if it's pink.
"Law, Annie, you ain't got a mite bit of patience. Well, here it is. Go ahead, open it if you want to. I'm right interested myself. It'd save me a powerful lot of trouble between now and Sunday if you could wear it to the decoration, so I wouldn't have to fool with fixing up that old one of mine." Annie was the most excited she'd ever been in her 15 years of life, and she frantically fumbled with the strings of the package before finally removing the top of the box. And she reached in and pulled out the contents. There, before her eyes, was a brown linen school dress. The mountain girl was frozen, speechless, as her ma took the dress from her hands and shook it out. "Well now, ain't that a good, useful dress, without no trimmings at all? And it's a brown one too, and that's your color, Annie. It'll look right swell with your sister's old blue hat, and it ain't got but one little hole in it. I can put a patch on it, since it's the exact same color as the dress you're wearing now. Don't you like it, honey?" The mountain girl softly spoke in the most spiritless voice possible.
Yes, Ma.
"Well, your pa'll be coming home soon. I better get to fixing his victuals. Rex, bring up some firewood. And Annie, make sure you don't forget about them cows."
Yes, Ma.
As the screen door shut behind Ma, Annie sat with the new dress crumpled in her lap and her head in her hands. Her brother could hear her sobbing a river of tears. "Annie? No, Annie, you don't care sure enough that dress ain't pink, do you? It don't make no real difference, do it? Oh, Annie, don't cry. I'll ask Pa to buy you a new dress. A pink one. Just don't cry."
Oh, shut up, Rex. It don't make no real difference.
And just then, Ma hollered again from behind the screen door. "Annie, get after them cows, girl." "Oh, don't worry about fooling with those cows today, Annie. I'll go do it for you."
Now, Rex, don't you remember? It ain't no man's job to be a chasing cows.